seen my video and to have me make a video specially to answer your question, send me an email to englishclubusa@yahoo.com, and you can visit my website at englishclubusa.com for a free life membership. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Well, we've did one video talking about nouns, because nouns is what you started with when you started learning English. You started talking about pizza, you started talking about a house, you started talking about things and people. Well, after you learned things and people, you need to understand how do you talk about them, what do these people do, or how do you describe them? Well, you cannot do that without talking about verbs. We will always talk about verbs. Verbs is the most important part of English language because verbs can change their functions. Verbs can become nouns. Verbs can be verbs. Verbs can become a description, and verbs can become an adverb. So that is why it is so important to understand how verbs function. So today in this video, we will look just at that. So let's take a look and see how do verbs function. Remember, English is binary. Whenever you think about English as binary, life is easy. When you think about each verb or word individually, life is difficult. So let's go ahead and make your life easy. Verbs have only two functions. And these functions are, on the one hand, verb shows action. That's what you do, like study, like work, like play, like sleep, like travel. That's what you do. And that's half of how verbs function. The other half, how verbs function, is they describe things. Unfortunately, when you learned language, you never learned English this way because you did not learn English like a native speaker. So here you will start learning English just like a native speaker. So let's first talk about verbs as a function of describing something. So when you think of a description, again, you have to think about verb as something binary. Binary, that means it has two things that complement each other. So in one way, when you want to describe something, you want to give me a fact, something that 100% of people agree on. For example, you can say that in the past, that yesterday was a Thursday. It's a fact. Why is that a fact? Because today, which is present, is a Friday. So because today is a Friday, then we use the verb to be in the past, and now Thursday was yesterday. That's a fact. Well, if yesterday was Thursday, and that's a fact. If today is a Friday, and that's a fact, what about tomorrow? What fact will it be tomorrow? Well, tomorrow will be, verb to be, a Saturday. So you see, when you're talking about verb to be, you're talking about exclusively something that represents facts. That means everybody has to agree on. So if I say that Washington, D.C. is a capital of United States, that's a fact. Okay? If I want to say that Rio de Janeiro was a capital of Brazil, that's a fact. Because today, Rio de Janeiro is not a capital of Brazil. Today, Rio de Janeiro is not, and that's a fact, a capital of Brazil. Now, the capital of Brazil is Brasilia. That's a fact. So whenever you're using verb to be in any time, whether using past tense, present tense, future tense, or any tense, if it's a verb to be in any format, you're talking about exclusively about facts. But not always do we want to talk about facts. Sometimes we want to talk about opinions. So many people learned to mix two things together. What they do is they say, I think today is a Friday. Well, if today is a Friday, then it's a fact. And what you think about it, it's an opinion? That's not a correct way of talking about it. There is another way of doing it. So whenever you want to express a description, which is not a fact, what you're expressing is the other side of verb to be. And the other side of verb to be are the verbs that are expressing opinions. Well, we're human, and all of us have 5 senses, which are: we use eyes to look, we use nose to smell, we use mouth to taste, we use ears to hear how things sound, and we use body to feel. So whenever you want to express an opinion in English language, it is very important to inform a listener, how do you know? So the question, how you know something, will automatically be answered using the verb that you must use. If you use your eyes to form an opinion, then you will say that this homework looks easy. Now, is this homework easy? Is it a fact? Well, for you, the homework is easy. For another student, it is not. So when you want to express an opinion, be careful. Don't say, I think this homework is easy. You have to say that this homework looks easy. If you tried doing this homework, you thought about it, you wrote it, and now you have a result, you may say that this homework feels easy because your body wasn't stressed. Your blood pressure didn't go up and you felt comfortable. Your body felt comfortable. So, what happens if you entered a coffee shop? How many people entered the coffee shop where you can smell coffee? And you have an opinion about the coffee. Can you say that the coffee is delicious? I don't think so. Did you try the coffee? No. Did you smell the coffee? No. How do you know the coffee is delicious? So what happens when you want to express an opinion that will be limited only to the sense of smell, then you will say, this coffee smells delicious. What happens if you tried the coffee? You don't say that the coffee is delicious. What you need to tell me is, you tried the coffee. So now you will say that, not that the coffee smells delicious, you will say the coffee tastes delicious. What if you tried strawberries? You can smell strawberries, and you can say that strawberries smell delicious. Or you can try strawberries, and maybe you can say that strawberries do not taste sweet. Well, in your opinion, they don't taste sweet. In somebody else's opinion, they do. So that's why you cannot say, I think strawberries are not sweet. Because it's an opinion, it's not a fact. So this is why it's very important to understand the difference. On the one hand, you have facts. And on the other hand, you have opinions. So, if you want to talk about my car stereo, which I like very much, okay, you may say that, Valerio, your car stereo sounds amazing. Well, is it amazing? I'm sure not. Because there are much better car stereos than mine. But for me, in my opinion, it's not that my car stereo is amazing, my car stereo, in my opinion, using my ears, I think that it sounds amazing. So instead of saying I think, you can forget about it. You don't need to use I think anymore. All you have to do is use the correct verb that corresponds to the sense you're using in order to make an opinion. So, my car stereo sounds amazing. So what kind of car do I have? I have Hyundai i30. Not a Mercedes, but it's a really nice car. And I love my car. So, for me, in my opinion, my Hyundai i30, I'm sorry, that was in Spanish. We need to cut that part, Leo. So, what kind of car do I have? I have Hyundai i30. So, is my i30 such a wonderful car? It is for me. It is not a Mercedes, but it's a nice car. In my opinion, my car stereo is amazing, but my Hyundai i30 feels fast. Is it fast? No. It has only 150 horsepower. Some people have 1,500 horsepower. So for 150 horsepower, is it fast? Well, some people will say yes, and some people will say no. That's why we need opinions. And when I sit in my car and I switch my gears, my Hyundai feels fast. And that is why we need these verbs. So let's take a look at some other examples. Well, you will ask me, okay, Valeria, we've talked about verb to be as a fact, and we looked at other verbs that function as alternative to verb to be in order to express an opinion. So let's look at some examples and see how else we can talk about a description. Well, we did talk about action, and we did look at the examples what the action verbs are, like swim, like travel, like have, like enjoy, and like study. And description words, we talked about specific descriptions, something that has to do with your five senses. What if you don't want to talk about specific verbs? What if you don't want to talk about specific descriptions? What if you have an opinion that is more general in nature rather than specific? Well, there are alternatives. And the alternative is when you're trying to express an opinion which is not specific, you have, as always, binary, two choices. One choice is a seem, and the other word is appear. So when you want to talk about English classes or English videos that you're watching today, you can say that, well, the videos, and you want to express an opinion. And if you want to say in general, you may say that the videos seem interesting. When you say the videos seem interesting, are you talking about smelling a video? No. Are you talking about tasting a video? No. But what happens is you saw the video, and the video looked interesting. You heard the video, and the information in the video sounded interesting, and then you understood the information, and the information felt like it was interesting. So when you have a mixture, a salad of informations, and you don't want to be specific as to which information, all you have to do is to say that the video seemed interesting. An alternative to that is when you're trying to say that something seemed interesting, but you want to put a very important part on the idea that you saw it. So when you're trying to say that I saw it, and the primary information of all of the informations that I have is the visual information, then the word seem becomes appear. So when you say that I saw Valerio's videos and Valerio's videos appear interesting, what you are trying to tell someone is that you saw the video and the visual representation of information and the examples that were written on the board were interesting and you understood them, then you will say that Valerio's video appeared interesting. So this is the idea of how native people think about verb to be. And when you are talking about descriptions, you have two choices. Remember binary? One choice is to state a fact. When you want to state a fact, you must use one verb and one verb only. There are no options. And that verb is to be. If you're trying to express a description, if you're trying to describe things, you have an opinion instead of a fact. If you have an opinion to describe things, then you have two possibilities. One possibility is specific, based on information that you saw, smelled, tasted, heard, or felt. Or you want to express a general opinion. And when you express a general opinion, you have two choices: seem and appear. We will not talk about the verb get, but every time, whenever you have little star, make sure you look for the videos that have something to do with the word that are marked by star, because verb get is a very special video that is very interesting, probably the most unusual verb in English language that can be used just like verb to be. We will discuss that when we will do the get video, but for now we will just leave this verb as is. So don't forget, it doesn't matter when the fact took place. The fact could have taken place in the past, it could have taken place in the present or the future. It is a fact. And opinions are opinions. So, I hope you enjoyed the video on verbs. I hope you remember that verbs are binary. That means when you think about verbs, if you want to think like a native speaker, you need to think about two things that complement each other. On the one hand, you have a fact, and on the other hand, you have opinion. On the one hand, you have action, and on the other hand, you have a description. So don't forget, think binary. And when you will think binary, verbs will be easy. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you thought it was interesting. I hope it was a fact that the video was interesting. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. To be in my video and to have me make a video specially to answer your question, send me an email to englishclubusa@yahoo.com, and you can visit my website at englishclubusa.com for a free life membership. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell.